Hey, this is Ryan from Rocket SaaS, and you're listening to the SaaS Marketing Weekly podcast, the show that gives you actionable marketing strategies and campaign ideas to rocket your SaaS business. And if you want even more SaaS marketing ideas, go to saasmarketingweekly.com to join my free newsletter. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of SaaS Marketing Weekly with me, your host Ryan, the founder of Rocket SaaS, and I am delighted to say that this podcast has just crossed over 1,000 downloads, which feels pretty surreal considering we've only had 15 episodes and we've already hit that milestone. It's really ramping up and up. It's incredible to see. So I'm glad that you guys are liking it. But if it's the first time you're listening, welcome to the show. Today, we're going to be talking about why SaaS companies scale or fail. I've worked with well over 100 different SaaS companies, mostly B2B. My agency has had clients that have succeeded and grown, and we've had clients that have failed and churned. And I was trying to work out recently, I was trying to kind of write down, why do some of my SaaS clients really succeed, really grow, love working with us? And why do some clients just kind of fail? It doesn't quite work. They don't get the leads that they want. What is the difference between the two? How can I spot that? How can I help them? How can I make my agency even better? And then I started to realize something, started to see some trends, and I thought I would share that with you because it will help your growth, whether you're the owner of a SaaS business or the marketing manager of a SaaS business. These are the sorts of things that I see. It's all related to marketing. So I'm going to go into it, but the overall summary is that the businesses that fail are the ones that have marketing siloed. And they think that marketing is just this like magic wand that they just turn it on and it's just going to get leads and we're going to scale rapidly. Amazing. Whereas the companies that I see that succeed and grow are the ones that integrate marketing within the business. So sales and marketing are very closely aligned, and they have a demand generation attitude towards growth, meaning that they're creating a lot of content in-house as well as getting support from a marketing agency. So let's get into it. Why do some SaaS companies fail? In order to make sales, you need a strong brand, a really strong product, great marketing, and strong sales. The main issue I see a lot is where sales and marketing are not aligned. So they're just completely separate. They're not talking to each other. In some instances, they don't even know who each other are on each department. And you've got these two different departments going after two very separate audiences. You've got the sales team that have got this list from like Cognizant or Apollo, and they're hammering the phones and hammering the cold emails. Then you've got the marketing department that are using the filters from LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So they're going after different people. And I've seen the messaging be different. I've seen the sales team describe the product in one way and have a certain call to action. Then you've got the marketing team that are kind of fiddling around with different bits of messaging and different calls to action. And it's just totally misaligned. And then another issue I see is you've got the in-house senior people of the company, like the founders or the people that should be thought leaders in the company, are not creating enough of their own content. They're just purely relying on the marketing department, whether that's internal, whether that's an external agency that they've hired. And then they get annoyed when the content is a little bit on the generic side. So that's where things go wrong. But the companies that do it right are the ones that have got marketing, sales, and the in-house thought leaders, usually the founders, all working together, all agreeing to go after the same people with the same messaging, with the same thought leadership content, backed up by using those thought leaders to be the face of some of the brand and the marketing, to really give it some authority. And also, personal brands on LinkedIn, which is where most B2B SaaS companies are trying to push their marketing, is where all the engagement happens. Just trying to pump stuff out from the LinkedIn company page organically or through ads is hard work to get cut through. It's hard to get engagement because people don't buy from companies on LinkedIn. People don't engage with companies, they engage with people. If you've got thought leaders within the organization, supported by the marketing department, backed up by the sales department, that's where things really come together. That's where you get the real magic of SaaS growth. So let's talk about sales and marketing coming together. And I'll give you a really good example of how I've seen this work incredibly well in action. So if you've got the sales team doing cold calls and cold outreach via email or LinkedIn DMs, if they're reaching out to people that have never heard of your brand before, saying, oh, hey, we're a great product, we can solve your problems, book a demo, that's going to be received badly 98% of the time, if not 99% of the time. People are getting spammed by cold outreach all the time by so many businesses, just going up and up and up. I'm sure every one of you listening to this podcast gets spammed with cold email all the time and cold LinkedIn DMs, cold calls. It's annoying. When you've never heard of a brand before, you're going to object to that, or most people are anyway. And it really is a massive numbers game. However, if the sales team are doing cold outreach to people, and those people that they're outreaching to have already heard of your brand, and they already admire your brand because they've seen a ton of content, they've read some blogs, they've seen some videos on LinkedIn, they recognize the founder of the business as a thought leader in the space, they may have attended one of your webinars in the past. If you do cold outreach to those people, it's not so cold anymore. It's almost warm. Those people will receive the cold outreach and think, oh, yeah, I've heard of those guys. Yeah, I see them everywhere. I like their content. I've actually been thinking about maybe getting in touch with them. I'm glad you reached out. That's the mindset shift. I've got a client in the HR SaaS space. And when we did the kickoff meeting with them, they said that their outreach, their cold email outreach response rate was just 1%. And they said their sales team were really struggling. And the founder was thinking of letting them go, thinking of firing both of them. But at the time, they were doing zero marketing. And I explained to him, I said, well, if we do marketing to that same audience, if we serve them LinkedIn ads and Meta ads and start creating more content, then your response rate will go up. So we're now about, I think it's 9 months of working together. Their cold email response rate has gone up from 1% to 11%. And nothing's really changed. The messaging has changed, but the salespeople are the same, using the same tactics, same audience. And it's dramatically increased because the people that we're outreaching to are already familiar with the brand. And you do this by sales and marketing aligning at the beginning of a campaign. So if the sales team have got a list of companies that they want to speak to, whether they got that from Cognizant, Lusher, Apollo, one of those platforms where you can get contacts, before they start reaching out to those contacts should be handed over to the marketing department, because marketing can upload that exact list into LinkedIn and Meta. So if the person on that list has registered their LinkedIn or their Meta with the same email address, marketing can create a campaign that says only show these ads to these people on this list. So you can get super targeted. You can create multiple lists, multiple campaigns. Let's say you pick one particular segment of audience that you want to go after. Let's say HR managers of construction companies in the UK that have an issue with employee churn. The marketing department creates a bunch of ads with construction-looking messaging and imagery talking about that particular issue of employee churn. Serve those ads to the exact target audience that the salespeople are going to be going after. Run those ads for a couple of weeks on LinkedIn and Meta. Then after 2 weeks, the sales team start reaching out. And if you say you've got a list of 1,000 people, if the targeting's good, then you've got a high chance that over 50% of the people on that list will have seen your ads before the salespeople outreach. And that flip of them saying, I've never heard of you, who are you? As opposed to, I've seen you guys everywhere. I've seen loads of your ads. I've read some of your content. I've seen some of your video ads on LinkedIn. That shift is epically different. So the success rate of the sales team will go up dramatically if you've got the right marketing department or the right agency, like Rocket SaaS, to be serving ads and content to that exact same people that sales are going after. So have a chat with your sales and your marketing people or marketing agency and see if they're aligned. Are they going after the same lists? Are they targeting exactly the same people? Are they using the same familiar messaging? It's super important. And the other thing about sales and marketing collaborating is on messaging. So on the previous podcast, episode 15, I think it was, I talked about how marketing can very quickly test messaging using meta ads. You can create a bunch of different ads with a bunch of different headlines and very quickly, with a very small budget, determine which ads are getting the clicks. And the ads that are getting the clicks, they're the ones with the right messaging. So marketing needs to be communicating that to sales to say, oh, we've been trying with this headline on this ad and it's working really well. It's getting more clicks than ever. You should start using that in your subject lines of your emails. And then conversely, same the other way around. The sales team should be trying lots of different subject lines, lots of different messages in the body of their cold emails, A/B testing, and they should be communicating with marketing to say, we are getting so many opens with this subject line. There's something special in this messaging. You guys should be trying that messaging in your ads. And together with you both testing on two different angles, you'll be stepping closer to your best messaging. And if your clients are seeing familiar messaging that's really resonating with them, that's really talking about their burning problem, that's how you start to get demos, free trials, sales. So moving away from sales marketing alignment, now I want to talk about in-house led demand gen. So demand generation is something that I've talked about on my podcast a few times. It's definitely been the number one overriding factor as to the growth of my agency. And I'm seeing so many of my clients implementing a demand generation led strategy. And those are the ones that are succeeding. Now, the issue with demand gen when it comes to marketing, and particularly marketing agencies, is you can't outsource the whole of demand gen. It's not really possible. You can't really hire an agency and they'll just nail your whole demand generation strategy, because demand generation has to be led from within. You have to have genuine expertise and thought leadership and passion and know-how of the industry and create awesome thought leadership content, and then use marketing to boost that content and get it everywhere. You typically get that from things like webinars, podcasts, and LinkedIn personal branding. So I see a lot of companies that say they're too busy to do that. I often pitch to companies, I say, when we're doing the strategy piece, I say, okay, I want you to do a webinar series. We'll support you to do the webinar series. We'll design the slides. We'll set up the registration page. We'll do all the nurturing emails. We'll do the ads to drive traffic, email newsletters, organic, everything. But I just need you have to run the webinar because you're the expert. I can't run the webinar for you. Same with podcasts, same with LinkedIn personal branding. And a lot of companies say that they're too busy. They don't have time to do that in-house. And that's fine, I get that. I've had plenty of clients that have succeeded without doing that stuff. But the clients that do find the time to do those things are the ones that really scale rapidly. And depending on the size of the company, if it's a small company, it's pretty much always going to be the founder of the business that needs to front this. And it's also important that it's the founder, because if it's an employee, you've got the danger of the employee leaving and their personal brand just goes with them. So if you've got a founder that can be doing a webinar series, like building personal relationships on LinkedIn with their personal brand, getting other influencers to appear on the webinar, doing the same with podcasts, being very active on LinkedIn, getting a bit of that founder-led growth happening, supported by a marketing team or an agency that can just distribute all that content, drive traffic, get signups. That's a fantastic way to make it happen. Because conversely, I've seen companies try and outsource their webinars and their podcasts, and it just comes across very generic. It doesn't seem genuine. It's just kind of run-of-the-mill stuff, and it just never works. It has to really come from within. So if you're thinking of doing it, if you are a founder or you're a marketing person and you know that your founder could do it, it is a bit daunting. But once you get in a flow, it's not that hard. If you do a podcast series or a webinar series, sure, the first 3-4 episodes are going to be kind of hard work. You're not in the flow. Takes loads of edits. Technical setup's annoying. But after you've got over that initial hump, then you'll just flow through it. You'll have so much more confidence and you should start to enjoy it. And your prep time just gets less and less. And at the same time, your growth goes up and up. So at the beginning of this episode, I told you how this podcast has got over 1,000 downloads. And it's also starting to affect pipeline, which I didn't expect to happen so early. And I'm just in a rhythm. Every Monday night, I'll record an episode. And I've got that scheduled in a content calendar. I've got it blocked off in my Google Calendar. So it has to happen every Monday. And I know my schedule weeks in advance. So it's not like I sit down on a Monday night and I panic, oh God, what episode am I going to create? It's all scheduled out. And then it just starts to flow like a machine. So yeah, founder-led demand gen, or at least in-house-led demand gen, is a really, really powerful growth asset. So to summarize everything, marketing should be seen as a cog in the machine. It shouldn't be its own machine around the corner doing its own thing and you expect it to bring in a load of leads. It has to be a cog within the machine. It has to be the sales cog, the in-house led content cog, and the marketing cog all spinning together at the same time. Those are the SaaS companies that I've seen grow rapidly. The ones that have the marketing cog separated to the sales cog and the in-house led content cog is not even spinning at all, that's where you get very slow growth or it just fails altogether. So to make this work, you should get all three of those departments or people together. Start having weekly or at least bi-weekly meetings. Start defining some KPIs. Get some feedback loops happening and get a content calendar together. Start creating content consistently. Get the marketing team to distribute it and push it out there and get those middle of funnel MQLs coming in. Get sales and marketing collaborating on the same messaging, targeting the same people, so that the prospects that sales are reaching out to have already been hit by the marketing. So you're turning those cold leads into warm leads. And that is how you get growth. So I hope that resonates. I'm always talking about this kind of thing in my email newsletter. It goes out every Thursday morning around 8 a.m. UK time. If you want to sign up, go to saasmarketingweekly.com. and you'll receive hints and tips, strategy, advice, just like this pod in a written visual format. So if you enjoy this pod, you'll probably enjoy that too. And if you like this episode, I'd really appreciate it if you give it a 5-star and also hit that subscribe button. But thank you so much for listening. Catch you next week.